A white millionaire discovers his abandoned wife carrying twins and performing an unexpected noble act of pure maternal love despite heartbreak. What happens next is unbelievable. Terminal 3 at one of the busiest international airports in the country. Post-pandemic chaos everywhere. Suitcases rolling, announcements blaring in 6 languages, the smell of coffee and jet fuel thick in the air. Richard Harrington, 45, sharp-suited, silver at the temples, stands there gripping a Louis Vuitton bag that belongs to his 28-year-old mistress Lena. He's smiling, checking his Rolex, ready to board a first-class flight to Bali. Life looks perfect from the outside. But then the crowd parts. Millionaire arrives. 38 years old, Filipino-American, pushing a double stroller with 6-week-old twins strapped in. Her nurse's scrubs are wrinkled from the overnight shift she just finished. Dark circles under her eyes. One hand clutches a worn diaper bag. The other wipes sweat from her forehead. The babies are crying, but she doesn't lose her temper. She rocks the stroller gently, humming a soft Filipino lullaby her own mother used to sing, even though her voice cracks. People glance, but she keeps her chin up, protecting her children with the quiet dignity only a mother who has nothing left can show. Richard freezes. The bag slips slightly in his hand. Lena laughs at something on her phone, oblivious. Maria looks up, and their eyes lock. That single second changes everything. Let me take you back so you understand how we got here. Maria's life 6 weeks ago was already hanging by a thread. Every morning at 4:30 a.m. her alarm screamed in their small 2-bedroom apartment on the edge of the city. She'd feed the twins, pump milk for the next shift, then hand them to her elderly neighbor before rushing to the hospital. 12-hour nights in the ICU, comforting families who were losing loved ones to long COVID complications. She was the nurse everyone asked for because she never made patients feel like just another chart. She remembered their names, held their hands, prayed with them in Tagalog when they were scared. But at home, the bills piled up like accusations. Eviction notice taped to the door. Medical debt from the twins' premature birth. Richard's last text still burned in her phone. I need space. Don't contact me. 6 weeks of silence. No money, no explanation. Just the crushing weight of being the sole provider for 2 tiny humans who depended on her for everything. Yet every single day Maria showed up, she'd smile at her patients, crack jokes with the tired residents, and then come home and whisper to her babies, "Mama's got you. We're going to be okay." That quiet strength, that refusal to break in front of her children, that was her hidden nobility. The world saw a struggling single mom. The people who really looked saw a warrior. Today, she was at the airport because a hospital colleague had tipped her off. Richard's private jet was delayed, and he was flying commercial for once with someone new. Maria had scraped together her last $87 for 2 standby tickets. Her plan was simple and desperate. Find him, show him the twins he'd never even held, and beg for just enough to keep a roof over their heads. She wasn't coming for revenge. She was coming for survival. And now, standing 10 feet away, she sees him holding another woman's bag. Her heart shatters. The twins wail louder, but Maria doesn't scream. She doesn't cry in front of strangers. She simply straightens her back, wipes a tear before it falls, and keeps rocking the stroller like the world isn't ending. That is the unexpected noble act. Before we continue with this incredible journey, I spent countless hours researching and crafting this story to bring you something truly meaningful. If stories like this touch your heart and you want to see more acts of kindness that restore faith in humanity, please subscribe and hit the notification bell. It means the world to me and helps these important stories reach others who need to hear them. Now, Let's see what happens next. Have you ever witnessed an act of kindness that completely changed your perspective? Share your story in the comments below. The airport hums with urgency. Announcements crackle overhead. A child's balloon bobs past. Maria stands frozen, one hand on the stroller handle, the other instinctively shielding the twins' faces as if she could hide them from the truth staring back at her. Richard's face drains of color. The Louis Vuitton bag suddenly feels like lead. Lena tugs his sleeve. Babe, what's wrong? We're going to miss boarding. He doesn't answer. His eyes are locked on Maria, on the tiny bundles and the stroller, on the woman he once promised forever to, now looking smaller than he remembers, yet somehow taller, in her refusal to crumble. Maria speaks first. Her voice is low, steady, but it trembles at the edges. Richard. One word. It lands like a stone in still water. He steps forward. Lena frowns, confused. Who is this? Maria doesn't look at Lena. She keeps her gaze on him. They're 6 weeks old today. Your sons, Elijah and Mateo. She nods toward the stroller. They were born early. Spent 3 weeks in the NICU. I almost lost them. Almost lost me. Richard's mouth opens, closes. No sound comes out. Maria continues, softer now. I didn't come to fight. I came because the landlord gave us until Friday. I came because they need formula diapers, a crib that isn't borrowed. I came because you're their father. And they deserve at least that much. The words hang between them. Passengers slow, sensing drama without knowing the story. A few pull out phones, but most just watch. Quiet. Lena crosses her arms. Richard, are you seriously? Stop, he says, sharp, final. Lena blinks, stung. Maria rocks the stroller again. One twin quiets at her touch. The other keeps fussing. She reaches into the diaper bag, pulls out a pacifier with shaking fingers, and slips it in. Her movements are practiced, gentle, automatic. The kind of care that comes from doing it alone for weeks. That's when the first kindness arrives. An older black man in a Navy janitor's uniform name tag reads. Quaim pushes his cleaning cart closer. He's been mopping the same spot for 10 minutes, watching. He sets the mop aside, reaches into his cart, and pulls out a fresh bottle of water. Here, ma'am, he says in a calm Ghanaian accent. You look like you've been running on empty. Drink. Maria startles, then nods gratefully. Thank you. Really? Quaim glances at the crying baby, then at Maria. They're beautiful. Strong lungs. He smiles, small but warm. I've got 5 grandchildren. I know that sound. They just want to know Mama's okay. Maria's eyes fill. She blinks hard. I'm trying. Quaim nods toward a quieter corner near the windows. There's an empty bench over there. Less noise. I'll watch your things if you want to sit for a minute. She hesitates. Richard is still standing there, useless. Lena is glaring. Maria looks at Quaim. You don't have to if I want to, he says simply. Go on. She maneuvers the stroller toward the bench. Quaim follows at a respectful distance, then stands nearby like a quiet guardian. Richard watches it all. Something shifts in his chest, something he hasn't felt in years. He sets Lena's bag down on the floor. What are you doing? Lena snaps. I need a minute. Maria reaches the bench, sits, lifts one twin out. Elijah. She cradles him against her shoulder, patting his back in slow circles. The baby quiets almost instantly. Richard walks over, slow, like he's afraid the ground will give way. Maria, he starts, voice rough. I didn't know about the NICU, about any of it. You didn't ask, she says. Not cruel, just fact. He swallows, looks at the baby and her arms. Can I? She studies him for a long moment. Then she nods once. He reaches out careful, almost reverent hand takes Elijah. The baby squirms, then settles against his father's chest. Richard's eyes close. A tear slips down his cheek. First one in decades. I'm sorry, he whispers. To the baby. To Maria. To the air itself. Maria watches. Doesn't speak. But her shoulders drop a fraction. The first crack in the wall she's built. That's when the second kindness arrives. A Latina flight attendant mid-30s, name tag Sophia, walks past, sees the scene, pauses. She's in the middle of her pre-boarding sweep. She looks at Maria, at the stroller, at the man holding the baby like he's never held one before. She steps closer. Ma'am, are you on standby for the 2:15 to Chicago? Maria nods. Weary. Sophia checks her tablet. I just had a first-class seat open up due to a no-show. I can get you and the babies on. Bassinet seat. Extra space. No charge. Maria blinks. I can't afford it's comped. Sophia says gently. Staff privilege. Happens sometimes. You look like you could use a break. Tears spill now. Maria doesn't try to hide them. Thank you. God bless you. Sophia smiles. You bless those boys every day. I can see it. She glances at Richard, then back at Maria. You okay here? Maria looks at Richard still holding Elijah, eyes red. She nods slowly. I think, maybe. Sophia squeezes Maria's shoulder once, then heads off to process the upgrade. Richard looks at Maria. I don't deserve this. Any of it. No, she says quietly. You don't. But they do. She reaches out, adjusts the blanket around Elijah and his arms. Their fingers brush. Neither pulls away. For the first time in 6 weeks, Maria feels something besides fear. Hope. Small. Fragile. But there. What would you do if you discovered someone with incredible talent living in such difficult circumstances? Let me know your thoughts below. I read every comment. The airport lounge becomes an unlikely sanctuary. Sophia, the flight attendant, has quietly arranged for Maria and the twins to wait in a small family room off the main terminal. Soft lighting, a changing table, complimentary snacks. Richard follows. Lena storms off after a heated whisper argument, dragging her Louis Vuitton behind her like a trophy she no longer wants. Richard doesn't chase her. Maria sits on the couch, feeding Mateo while Elijah naps in a bassinet provided by the airline. Richard sits across from her, hands clasped between his knees, looking smaller than his net worth would suggest. I canceled the Bali flight, he says quietly. Maria doesn't look up. Good. The twins don't need a postcard from paradise. He winces. I know I messed up. I thought leaving would fix everything. That the emptiness was because of us. Turns out it was because of me. She finally meets his eyes. You left me with 2 premature babies, a mortgage I can't carry alone, and medical bills that could buy a small house. You didn't just leave. You erased us. Silence stretches. Then Richard speaks again, voice cracking. I want to make it right. Not because I feel guilty, though God knows I do, but because I see what you've been carrying. Alone. And it's breaking me. Maria exhales slowly. Words are cheap, Richard. Then let me show you. Over the next hour, small bridges form. He orders formula and diapers through the airport concierge, premium brands, the kind Maria could never justify. He calls his assistant and has a car service booked to take her home safely. When the twins wake fussy, he awkwardly changes Elijah's diaper under Maria's patient instructions. His hands shake. She coaxes him gently. For a moment, it feels like the early days when they were young, broke, and building something together. Kwame, the janitor, checks in twice. First time, he brings a warm blanket from lost and found. Second time, he simply sits nearby, reading a worn Bible, offering silent presence. Maria thanks him each time. You didn't have to keep coming back. Kwame shrugs. Some people look like they need someone to stay. That's all. Word spreads quietly through the terminal staff. A barista slips Maria a gift card for coffee. A gate agent brings extra pillows. A retired teacher, Mrs. Eleanor, heading home to Ohio, sits with Maria for 20 minutes, sharing stories of raising her own twins decades ago. "You're doing the hardest job in the world," she says, "and you're doing it with grace." She presses a $100 bill into Maria's hand. "For formula." "Don't argue." Maria tries to refuse. Eleanor insists. "Pay it forward when you can." Richard watches these interactions like a man waking from a long sleep. Each gesture chips at the armor he's worn for years. But obstacles arrive fast. First, the legal wall. Richard's lawyer calls. Prenup clauses. Asset division. Custody questions now that the twins exist. Richard hangs up, face pale. "They're saying if we reconcile, it complicates everything. Taxes, trusts. They want me to walk away clean." Maria's jaw tightens. "So walk." "I'm not walking." Then the personal storm. Maria's landlord texts. "Eviction is moving forward unless full back rent is paid by tomorrow. Dollar for 1,800. She shows Richard the message. He immediately wires the money, more than enough, but Maria hesitates to accept. "I don't want charity," she says. "I want partnership." "Or nothing." He nods. "Then let me in it." That night after the missed flight, Richard drives Maria and the twins home in his rented SUV. The city lights blur past. The twins sleep in their car seats. Maria stares out the window. "I'm scared," she admits. "Scared you'll disappear again when it gets hard. Scared I'll let you back in and lose everything twice." Richard grips the wheel. "I'm scared too. Scared I've done too much damage. Scared I don't know how to be the man you and those boys need." They pull up to the apartment building. Peeling paint. Overflowing trash bins. Maria unbuckles the twins. Richard carries the diaper bag and one car seat without being asked. At the door, she pauses. "You don't have to come in. I want to see where my sons have been living." Inside, cramped, clean, loved. Photos of the pregnancy on the fridge. A handmade mobile over the crib. Richard stands in the doorway, taking it all in. Maria sets the twins down, turns to him. "This is what you left." He steps forward. "This is what I want to come back to. If you'll let me try." She doesn't answer right away. Instead, she reaches out and touches his arm, light, tentative. "One day at a time," she says. He nods. Tears in his eyes again. Outside, Quane's shift has ended, but he's waiting on the sidewalk, umbrella in hand, because rain has started. He nods to Richard. "Take care of them." Richard meets his gaze. "I will." As Quane walks away into the rain, Maria watches from the window. "Kindness from strangers," she murmurs. "Maybe that's what saved us tonight." Richard stands beside her. "Maybe that's what's saving me." Have you ever had to overcome obstacles to help someone you cared about? What challenges did you face? Share your experience below. The next 48 hours tested everything Richard had promised. The legal team pushed back hard. Reconciliation opens you to massive exposure, his lead attorney warned over speakerphone. The prenup is ironclad. Walk away now or risk half your portfolio. Richard stared at the twins sleeping in their borrowed crib, then looked at Maria folding tiny clothes at 2 a.m. He ended the call with 3 words. "Rewrite the papers." By sunrise he had transferred the apartment building into Maria's name and set up a trust for the twins' college, healthcare, everything covered. But he didn't stop there. He showed up at the hospital where Maria worked, spoke to her supervisor, and quietly paid off every colleague's overtime shifts for the next month so Maria could take 3 weeks of paid leave. "She carried this place on her back while I was gone," he told them. "Now it's my turn to carry her." Maria watched him from the nurse's station, arms crossed, still guarded. "You're throwing money at the problem again." "No," he said. "I'm throwing time. And I'm learning how." The real breakthrough came from the community that had already started circling them. Quaim, the janitor, showed up at their door on his day off with his wife and a home-cooked Ghanaian stew. For strength, he said simply. Mrs. Eleanor, the retired teacher from the airport, flew back for the weekend and brought a box of twin-sized clothes from her church group. Sophia, the flight attendant, arranged for airport staff to deliver a brand new crib and car seats donated by ground crew who had heard the story through the staff group chat. Maria slowly began to breathe again. She let Richard change diapers without correcting him. She actually laughed when he burned the first batch of formula. Trust was growing, one small cylinder at a time. Then came the final obstacle. The hospital's HR department called. Maria's medical debt had triggered a lien on her nursing license. If unpaid by Friday, she would lose her job, the one thing that had kept her family alive. $87,000. Richard's accountant said it would take days to liquidate funds without tax penalties. Maria sat on the edge of the bed that night, twins between them, and whispered, "If this falls through, I can't lose everything again." Richard took her hand. "You won't." At 6 a.m. the next morning he walked into the hospital finance office with a cashier's check. Every penny. No loan. No strings. When the administrator asked for paperwork, Richard simply said, "This is for the nurse who never gave up on any of us." Maria got the call while feeding the twins. She looked at Richard across the room, tears streaming. "It's cleared. All of it." He knelt in front of her. "I'm not buying your forgiveness. I'm earning the chance to deserve it." She pulled him into an embrace, twins between them, and for the first time in months, the weight lifted. 3 weeks later the transformation was complete. They stood in a bright 3-bedroom home in a quiet suburb paid for outright, keys still warm in Maria's hand. The twins cooed in matching bouncers. Maria wore new scrubs, ready for her first shift back, but this time with flexible hours and full support staff Richard had funded. Richard had sold his private jet and moved his office closer to home. No more Bali escapes, just family dinners and midnight feedings and the slow, steady work of becoming the father he had abandoned. Full circle came on a crisp autumn morning at the very same airport terminal. Richard now held the diaper bag, not lean as Louis Vuitton, but a practical canvas one Maria had chosen. Maria pushed the double stroller, twins giggling at the lights. They weren't running away. They were flying to the Philippines to introduce the boys to Maria's aging parents, the first family trip in years. As they waited at the gate, a young single mother struggled with her crying toddler and heavy bags. Maria didn't hesitate. She walked over, offered her seat, and quietly upgraded the woman's ticket using the airline points Richard had transferred to her account. "Pay it forward," Maria told her with a gentle smile. The woman stared, stunned, then hugged her. "You have no idea what this means." Richard watched, chest full. Quaim, still on shift, caught his eye from across the terminal and gave a small nod of approval. Maria turned back to Richard, twins now calm in the stroller. "Remember when I walked in here broken?" He nodded. "I remember when kindness walked in and saved us both." She took his hand. "We're not just surviving anymore. We're thriving. And we're giving back." The boarding announcement called their names: first class, family row, bassinet seats. But this time it wasn't privilege. It was redemption. 6 months later, the airport terminal looks exactly the same, crowded, loud, full of rushing lives. But everything has changed. Maria walks in first now, confident in fresh scrubs, pushing the double stroller with Elijah and Martea, now chubby, smiling 7-month-olds who reach for every passing suitcase with delight. She's back at the hospital full-time, but on her own terms, a new leadership role training young nurses, plus flexible hours that let her be home for every bedtime. The medical debt is gone. The apartment is sold. Their new house has a backyard, a swing set, and walls covered in family photos. Richard walks beside her. No designer suit today, just jeans, a hoodie, and the practical diaper bag slung over his shoulder like it belongs there. He sold the private jet and the flashy office downtown. Now he runs a small foundation from home, funding single-parent medical leave programs across 3 states. His days start at 5 a.m. changing diapers and end with story time. The emptiness he once fled. It's filled with something real messy, loud, and perfect. Quain still mops the same floors, but now he gets regular visits from his family. Every month Muya brings the twins by so he can watch them grow. Sophia the flight attendant gets surprise first-class upgrades for single moms whenever she's on duty courtesy of Richard's new travel fund. And Mrs. Eleanor, she started a national pen pal program connecting retired teachers with struggling young mothers. One small act at an airport bench created ripples none of them could have imagined. The twins are thriving, healthy, loved, and already babbling in a mix of English and Tagalog. Maria's parents flew in last month and cried happy tears when they finally held their grandsons. Richard's family. They're slowly rebuilding to awkward Sunday dinners turning into something warmer every week. Maria stops at the exact spot where she once stood broken. She looks at Richard, then at their boys. "Remember when I walked in here carrying everything alone?" she says softly. He smiles, eyes shining. "And now we're walking out together. Because strangers chose kindness when I chose fear." She takes his hand. One act from a janitor. One upgrade from a flight attendant. One hug from a teacher. That's all it took to save a family and change a man. The boarding call comes for their flight, another trip to the Philippines, this time to celebrate her parents' anniversary. As they walk toward the gate, Maria spots a young mom struggling with bags and a crying baby. Without hesitation, she steps forward, offers help, and quietly pays for an extra bag using the points she now shares freely. "Pay it forward," she whispers with the same gentle smile she once received. The woman hugs her tightly. "You just restored my faith in people." Richard watches, chest full of quiet pride. The airport that once witnessed their lowest moment now witnesses their greatest gift. They've become the kindness they once needed. This is what happens when one person refuses to look away. When a millionaire chooses accountability. When a nurse keeps her dignity. When strangers decide that no one should carry their pain alone. Stories like this remind us that extraordinary kindness exists all around us. If this touched your heart, please like this video. It helps more people discover these inspiring stories. Subscribe for more tales of human kindness that will restore your faith in humanity. And most importantly, look for opportunities in your own life to be someone's unexpected blessing. What act of kindness will you perform this week? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and remember, you have the power to change someone's entire world.